What's up guys, this is Connor. Welcome back to 3 Pedal Devils. In today's video we're going to be working on my 82 Honda Nighthawk 450 again. In this one we are going to be addressing my center stand and chain rubbing problem. So right now I've just got this garbage little aluminum bracket that I whipped up in the front yard of my old college house, and then got some duct tape wrapped around it to keep the kickstand from moving. It's not a super great solution because the duct tape gets hot from the exhaust and then starts to peel away, and then eventually the bracket will slip off. The center stand will raise up and then rub right there on the chain. So basically we're gonna pull that old one off, take some measurements, and then work on designing up a new mount for that, and then gonna 3D print it and install it and see how it works. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take that old one off. Alrighty, so I did get the old bracket off. It's obviously kind of a mangled mess at this point. Now you can actually see the issue I'm having where it will sit there on the chain. So that's what I'm trying to eliminate. So basically now I'm going to use my caliper, take some measurements of basically the diameter of the swing arm, the diameter of the part where I want to attach to on the center stand, and then I'm also going to use my foot to kind of hold the center stand in place and take a measurement of how much offset I want between those two to ensure it's not going to rub on the chain. Alrighty, so I got some good measurements of the diameter of the swing arm as well as the diameter of where I'm going to attach on the center stand. I also got some dimensions of the separation I want, about 75 millimeters inside to inside dimension. In all reality, this thing might not fit the first time. I might have to design it, try and put it on, see where it doesn't fit, shave it down, and then remodel it. Otherwise, I can just run with the modified version, but we're gonna work with what we've got for now and see how close we get. I'm gonna work on drawing up a design. I'm gonna sketch one here on my iPad, and I'm gonna get to work. I'm gonna sit out here and do a sketch on my iPad just so I can get some inspiration from what the bike is actually looking like before I head inside and start trying to model anything. I'm not a super great drawer, so it probably won't turn out the greatest, but it'll at least give me an idea of what I need to do when I get in there on the computer. So it's going to be kind of a 3-part assembly. It's going to be basically 2 caps and then kind of like a wishbone style part in the center. Like I said, I'm not exactly an artist, so bear with me here on the drawing. So this dimension here is actually going to be slightly smaller than the dimension that I measured in order to give me some flex out of the material. So yeah, let me annotate this a little bit. A little design update for you. I've got kind of a rough shape mocked up. Here it is. So that top black bar you see is basically the swing arm representation, and then this black peg you see down here is the representation of the center stand. Basically the clamped section up there clamp onto the swing arm, and then it kind of offsets over to where it would clamp onto the center stand, and then it's got that angled mount with a similar clamp style system there. Obviously it's a really crude shape so far, so what I'm going to do is spend some time cleaning up the edges and adding some more details and features until I arrive at the final design that I can print off. Alright, I'll jump in here with another design update. So we got the stand cleaned up a little bit, smoothed out, just looks a little nicer. I've got some nice chamfers and curves around everything. And now I need to work on the actual mounting hardware. So I've got what I'm going to use right here. A couple stainless 1/4-20 socket head cap screws. And then for 3 of those holes shown on the design, I'm going to use some nylock nuts. So I figured it'd be easier if I just went down and grabbed those so I can measure them and design in some pockets for those. So basically I'm going to counterbore parts to sink this head in flush with the surface. And then I'm going to do the same thing with these nuts with like a hex counter bore, so that I don't need to use a wrench or socket or anything. So I'm basically going to sink the nut there and the head on this end. And then for this one, I'm actually going to sink the head of the screw in at the top. And then down here, since there's not really a great spot to put a nut in or anything, I'm going to use a heat set insert on this hole, which I can show you in a sec here as well. What I'm going to do now is actually save these files over as STLs, and then I'm going to open them up in Ultimaker Cura and start slicing them for the 3D printer. I'm printing it in kind of a weird orientation, trying to eliminate support material. Not sure how well I did, but I got a big raft on the bottom, so hopefully it won't tip over. And then we got basically just this one big support column up to that second part there. So I think it should turn out okay. We're looking at 3 hours and 31 minutes and about 61 grams of filament. You probably can't see that, but 61 grams of filament is about $1.20. So just for your reference, this part is going to cost me about $1.20 worth of plastic. So take the SD card out and head over to the printer. Back in here to my secret lair. Plug this guy in. Now I'm going to give this a nice auto home, and I'm going to bring it down over here to prepare, preheat PLA to warm up the hot end temp as well as the heated bed. So we're gonna wait for that to heat up while I'm setting up my GoPro to get a time lapse of this guy. And once that's set up, I'm gonna go down here, print from SD, basically select my center stand bracket part 2 and give that a print. So I'll cut it here and show you the time lapse of it printing. Actually finished printing the main bracket last night. I'm pretty sure that my GoPro ran out of storage mid time lapse, so I'm not gonna have all that footage for you, but hopefully I'll have a little bit. Yeah, this part actually turned out pretty well. You can see I have one of the block nuts already tested in there, and that fits kind of perfectly actually. The screws didn't quite fit the size that I made for the head of the screw, the counter bore, that fits just fine, but the actual screw doesn't fit through the holes super well. That kind of happens sometimes when you're 3D printing. So I used a size F clearance hole for these 1/4 20 screws, which is 0.257 inches, so 7th out over the external diameter, or the outer diameter of the screw. But obviously with printing, that clearance just wasn't enough. So with these next 2 parts that I'm gonna print, I actually upped that clearance to 17/64. I think that's like 40 thousandths bigger than the previous hole I did. So hopefully those ones I won't need to post-process at all. But this one I'll need to just run a little bit of a bigger drill through those holes in order to get the screw to slip through, but that's no big deal. So yeah, now I'm going to load up and print the 2 clamp pieces. Doing some auto homing. And we'll print part 1. Well, these bad boys finished up. They're looking pretty crispy. Shake the thread off of there. Okay, so now that we got all the parts printed, let's just take a quick look at how each of them turned out and how they go together. So this is the main connecting rod sort of piece. I printed it down this way, so you can see that the bottom surface here kind of turned out kind of garbage because that printed on top of the raft. But other than that, the rest of it turned out pretty good. And then you saw me install this brass heated insert. They look kind of like this initially. And then I just stuck a soldering iron through it, melted it down into the plastic, so that one will go through there like that, and then thread into that brass insert like this. There's a lock nut up here, and then another screw will go down through there. I'm actually missing one right now, so I'll have to grab another one, but that's where that one will bolt up. And then when it comes to the bottom section, we have this cap. Turned out pretty solid. 2 screws going through it. We're gonna have to install our lock nuts, and then these guys should just thread in. So actually now I'm going to head down to the garage and install it on the bike.
Is it finished?
Yeah.
Holy dang, dude.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
The support material I gotta break out, but oh God.
Oh my God.
Are you serious?
What if there's a mouse on
Oh,
it?
it's so sticky!
That fucker locked you up good.
Yeah, she did. All right, that's the fully installed bracket. Everything's tightened down. This thing's freaking solid. I'm shaking the whole bike with it right now, so I think it's gonna be pretty good. We'll see how much the exhaust heats it up. Might have to change the design a little bit and maybe cut out this section. First prototype, we'll have to try it out. So let's hop on the bike and give it a shot.
A few inches later.
I don't think it's gonna go super well, actually. When I sat down on here trying to put it on this jack so I could tension the chain a little bit better, I heard some kind of scary cracking in this thing. So I loosened it up a little bit just to give it a little bit more play so that hopefully it doesn't crack, but I think it's already destroyed. But I'm gonna test it anyways. I got this GoPro on so we can see like where exactly it breaks and when and how much the swing arm moves relative to this kickstand. So let's jump on the bike and see what happens. Test ride was interesting. So I'm pretty sure the bracket is destroyed. It actually was kind of fine. It held on there just all right when I was riding. I think it just broke when I had it tightened down so much and it was so rigid, and then I sat on the bike to try to get it up on that jack. But after I loosened it up and went for a ride, I don't think it was causing any issues because it had enough clearance for the center stand to kind of jimmy forward away from the swing arm as the weight loaded it. This thing's kind of beyond repair. Pretty good size crack on the back side there. So I'm gonna have to print a new one, but I'm gonna change the design a little bit first. I'm gonna loosen up the clearance on this bottom clamp to give the center stand some room to kind of rotate forward. It's a good test though. So after that last clip where I talked about the first test that I did a little bit, I didn't record too much. I did print out a couple new pieces and tried some different things and did some Dremel work. Also changed up some of the sizes in the CAD model before I printed the new ones. I did still have some issues with that second prototype as well, after going on a longer ride of about 2 hours or so, and the exhaust actually heated up the plastic. I did run into some issues. I did plan to try to print it out of a better material, but recently my 3D printer broke, so I wasn't able to print that new design. But I did order a new printer that should be coming sometime this week. If you're curious to see what that printer is and see some prints from the new one, subscribe to the channel, and I'm going to be making some videos with that new printer pretty shortly. And I'll probably also make a follow-up to this video with the status of this center stand project, whether I come up with a new bracket that works or just completely switch from 3D printing to a more metal bracket, or just remove the center stand altogether. I'll make a video updating that at some point. But that's going to be the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed watching a little bit of my design process for that problem I was having. And yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.